What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included Cesspool. So you may notice in this video I do not have my face cam on. I don't think I've mentioned it in some other videos, but I've recorded about 3 videos so far without the face cam, and for now we're going to go ahead and stick with that. It came to my attention that my face cam was not syncing up properly with my proper recording, and that's just because the computer I'm running this whole thing on is not very good. The camera's even crappier. I need to get a separate camera and do an external recording. It'll probably have to wait till I can get a better computer though. But so this is our world so far. We've done pretty well. We've been doing pretty good on resources. Water, we're a little lackluster. I'm not a big fan of how much water we've got, so I'm actually making some changes. I'm moving this over the whole wall by 1 block and destroying the old wall, because I noticed the carbon dioxide was building up, and that's just because the self-insulating door is not allowing carbon dioxide to flow through like I'd planned. So I'm going to get rid of this door, just leave this little gap so that way carbon dioxide can flow through these air flow tiles and get down here to my carbon dioxide collector. And all this does is just push it outside of the base where it's not in my way, which I think it's been collecting down here, but I think it's been like freezing or something. I'm not really sure. But so we're hooking up the water supply over here. We hooked up some new pipes. We're running it all the way over here to the sieve. I've got new conductive wires coming in to be hooked up to everything, so that way it can get turned back on, and it's going to start pumping out a bunch of this water and turning it into clean water that we can put back into the base. It is non-polluted, so they're non-germy, so won't worry about have to get any germs in the base. Up here, I'm also working on setting up the Atmos suit forge, which is definitely something we are going to need. Do not know why it's trying to change that tile. I just need it hooked up. Whatever. There we go. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Alright, yeah, I got a bunch of iron there. I'm not sure what that was all about. Sorry, thinking out loud. But, so yeah, we'll just go ahead and let them get started on that stuff. Let's go ahead and see what we have in here. I don't think I need to do duplicate. I've only got 8 right now, which isn't a super lot, but we'll come back to it. I've been doing an off-camera world, by the way, guys, and I learned quite a bit of stuff in my off-camera world, how to deal with certain things. I am glad that I moved all my transformers and stuff into insulated rooms, because that's been something I've been having trouble with in my off-camera worlds, and that will keep heat from collecting in the base too much. Like, it's a little warm up here, but overall not too bad. The heat from these lights actually does cause issues after a while, so we're going to have to figure out how to cool them down over time. For now, it's not going to be a major issue, so I'm not too concerned with it. We are going to be working on making Atmos suits here soon. We've already got it done. We'll make them out of iron. We got 8 duplicates, so let's make 8 suits. I do not have enough iron for that. It takes 2 fibers per, so yeah, we got plenty of reed fibers. We'll go ahead and queue up 8 iron suits, and whenever they get to it, I'll make it a high priority too, so we'll get it made at the moment they get the iron to make it. They've already made 1, which is awesome, because I think we have the fast workers thing turned on. So I need to redo how this whole setup is set up. I'm not a big fan of how I have it set up on here. So we'll probably find some new bodies of water to set up a collection system for. What I can do is I need to get down into this ice biome and just mine this whole thing out. Get a bunch of ice and water and collect it up. Let's see. Well, one thing I could do is, for one, let's see here, pull up the water pipes here, deconstruct this whole mess right here to about there, deconstruct the liquid vent, and then we're going to put the liquid vent like right here instead. It's a higher priority. Okay. Does my system have power over here yet? I think it did, but we deconstructed it. It takes, what is that, 1200? That's quite a bit of power. here's my primary source. We'll just hook up this right here. Right there. Hook up some heavy conductive wire. Wait, am I using... Oh yeah, that's heavy wall wire. Good. Hook it up. Just like that, and then we will see, do we have enough conductive? We have some steel we can use. I'm a big fan of using steel for this sort of thing, but just like that. And that will get that all set up and started so we can start using the metal refinery again. Okay, and let's re-enable the building. Alright, this isn't going to last a super long time because we're not going to be able to just sit here and produce it. I'm going to disable steel for a while, and I'm going to focus on iron. It looks like we got 36 tons of iron that we can process, so I'm just going to let them go ham on that. And that will produce hot water, hot polluted water that's going to drop down here and start heating up the biome. Cool. Okey-dokey. And that'll drop a bunch of polluted water down here, heating up the place. Not really doing a whole lot, which I really don't care about anyway. It'll slowly start to heat things up down here. But more or less just cool down the water to a freezing point because it's so freaking cold down here. How hot is this water? I remember that being a lot hotter. Don't know how it cooled off like that, but okay. Since this water's not too hot anyway, we might well go ahead and hook up this pump and hook it up to that same line. Bridge here. Guessing that pump doesn't have any power. Now that we're making iron, I can start making some conduits out of iron here. Run it over here. We'll wire bridge here. One there. Run it straight to the wall, right there. There we go. Get that stuff built, and we can keep producing iron for a little while. And like I said, it's just hot. It just goes down here, cools down, and we'll just bring the ice back up here that we can repurpose in these systems. Okay, that'll allow us to make some refined metal for a little while. And that'll allow us to finish making the exosuits, which it looks like they've already done. I'm impressed, guys. You guys have done great. Okay, and something I want to do is I want to rebuild this whole setup. So give me just a second, guys. Alright, so what I'm doing is I've got a gas pump set up in here. And basically I'm getting rid of this fluorine chamber in the base. I don't think it's necessary to have it in the base itself. And eventually I'm actually going to section this entire top area off, making it so they can only get out over here. And I'm going to probably even clean up all the way over here to the edge. I'm going to set up a area for them to get in and out of, and they have to go all the way through it in order to get out of the base. And this way I can set up Atmos suits and some other stuff, gas prevention and stuff like that from getting into the base. But right now they are working on gathering up, they are working on building this, and the way I'm going to deal with emptying out this room is I'm just going to have them build this whole tiles all the way up to the room size that I want, and then deconstructing inside. So that way it'll make it a little bit easier as far as getting in and out. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and deconstruct this side and cancel that one and deconstruct on the bottom one there. That way I can put the insulated self-sealing airlocks on them. One dart and one dart. That way they can get in and out with no issue. Cool. Alrighty. We're not going to be able to build these 2 gas pipes until we get into the door. There you go. Attaboy, you just keep building. Which we need, I think it's 3 tiles for this, plus 1 blank tile on a roof. So 1, 2, 3 blank tile roof. So I gotta get it up 2 more, about 3 more tiles high. Which they can access it just fine with that ladder. Anyway guys, I'll come back in a bit. Alright guys, so I'm still working on building it up. Still got a few more layers left, but down here, I went ahead and started growing arbor trees so we can start getting some lumber, so that way we can start using lumber as a fuel source. I went ahead and put up 2 storage bins next to it so we can store the lumber so it doesn't just fall down and just get left laying around. So, of course, one of my duplicates has to be stupid. Thank you. That's actually the 4th time that's happened during this one, by the way. There it is. Knew it was gonna happen. Alright guys, so they finished building the room itself, so we are gonna do the most satisfying thing ever. Have them deconstruct the entire interior. Watch this, here it goes, here it goes. In fact, I'm gonna slow this down. Look at that. Nothing but vacuum. Sweet, nice, perfect, clean room we're building this stuff with. So we're going to plop that there. And I've already hooked up the pipes and configured them. Oxygen is going to flow out here. Any other gases that aren't chlorine or oxygen are going to come out here. And all the chlorine is going to come into here. And I also want them to clean up this room. Get all this crap out. Alright. Now they can get in here. I open that door so that way they can get in here and build that eventually. Wait, do I have a critter farm yet? I do. Let's lasso up this critter and get him out. I don't want him in here. He's just gonna suffocate in chlorine anyway. At least I think so. There he goes. Got him lassoed. Okay, somebody grabbed him. Good. Don't need him in there eating that granite anyway. Eventually, somebody's gonna come build these pipes. Let's go ahead and speed up that priority real quick. There we go. Auto. Fix that door real quick. There we go. Cool. And let's turn that priority off. Figure this for everything. Sweep only. Priority 9. I think they're still prioritizing that 1 piece of granite. Are they seriously just going to ignore the 1 piece of granite that has that on there? Make sure we have it all selected. I want to get all this crap out. What do you mean the pipe is blocked? Let me take a look at this. So here to here. Here, up there. Oh, they didn't hook up the last pipe. Make that a major priority and get it done. There we go. There we go. Look at that room fill up with chlorine. Sweet. Get this room all nice and pumped out and get all that chlorine out into here. And all the oxygen is just going to pump out here. I don't even know how oxygen ended up in here to begin with. But we're getting it built in here. So, while that's doing its thing, I'll have them build up some of the stuff we need. So, right... yeah, like right... there... there... and there. Can't look at the last one yet. While they're working on that, we will hook up some automation. I think it was a timer sensor, or at least that's what we're gonna use. And I'm gonna hook it up over here at the far end. Super simple thing to set up. And so basically we're gonna hop over here and hop in some NOT gates here, here, and here. Okay, we're gonna hook that up to here. Then all the way across, back to the next one. All the way across to the next one. And all the way across to that. This room nice and filled up with chlorine, so it's a nice, clean, sterile room. And why is there 2 pieces of granite in here? Okay. They get that knock gate set up. Almost have it built. Let's change the time on this. I want to set it to... this is cycles, so we're going to do 1/10 of a cycle. Fairly short. Okay, and that'll do it. 4 of these is more than enough to pump and clean out any kind of gas. Plus it has like several thousand of those bad boys. In which case we might be screwed there, but looks like they're just missing 1 wire to hook them all up. And we're just going to let this keep running until it pumps all the gas out. Okay, looks like this is now a vacuum. We can now deconstruct this whole build. Alright. Let's see here. Let's start off with the electricity. Connected wire. Deconstruct. We don't need none of that. Okay. Let's now move over to here to pipes. Deconstruct. Don't need any of that. All that. Okay. Deconstruct this guy. Deconstruct this guy. Deconstruct this guy. Deconstruct both these filters. Okay, and that'll do it. And this guy. Alright, and we'll go ahead and deconstruct both these rooms, or at least the walls and doors of them, so we can let air flow through them. Okay, also going to rebuild this room here. No need for those insulated tiles. Kind of out of place and kind of ugly, to be honest. And I think we'll move this farm room right up here along with this one. Well, actually that would be kind of difficult because hooking up wires into that layer would be kind of hard. I am going to go ahead and plop this down. And we'll hook up the pipes for these guys. This will be the entrance. Okay, they're just killing that fish off that I told them to kill. There we go. All their inputs are set up, and now if we were to input gas, by the time it got out, it would be germ-free. The only thing we have to change to make sure that something gets germ-free at this point is this timer sensor. We don't need to pump any new gases in. We don't have to clean anything up. Well, we do have to clean a little bit up. And just to make it so that way they don't have to come in here anymore, I'm putting the input right here, putting the output right here. And once they have those hooked up and they've cleaned up everything out of it, I'm turning off the door so they can't come in or out of this room anymore. There's no reason for them to go through there and mess anything up. Okay guys, so I'm getting ready to start building my Atmos suits. So I went ahead and just put an oxygen pump at the top of the base here, since we're already producing oxygen in there. Eventually we're going to have to build a better oxygen system in here for producing oxygen. The plan is to eventually start, I think this time around on this series, I'm going to build what's called a Rodriguez air system. And the reason it's called that is because a man named Rodriguez actually developed the system, and it's a very closed-in space. There's two different versions of it. There's a smaller design and a larger design. For the base we're running, we probably only need the smaller design, because I'm setting it up as if I had the max number of duplicates, which I've set up this platform for, which is 20. Now I'm gonna have to relocate some things here and there to make it work, so that way I can produce all the farm space I need to actually house 20 duplicates. Probably another set of bathrooms, for instance. Because if I can get it, I think that's 8 total toilets on 3 different shifts. I should be able to divide it up pretty well. Or 4 different shifts would probably be better. And having 2 sets of toilets and sinks would be a good way to deal with that. I'd have to set up a bigger mess hall and probably get some more plants growing. But we're finally starting to get lumber down here, guys, which is awesome. Which have we already collected some lumber? Not yet. Okay, well, anyway, so the system I have up here is I have oxygen pumping into this. It'll pump oxygen into here, into our storage. It'll go through all 3 storages first and then collect into there. Once these are all full, it'll start collecting in the storages where we can have backups to keep these nice and full. And then it's going to run through this other pipe, and this is going to detect if there's any polluted oxygen, because I want to try to get any polluted oxygen out of the base and pump it up. Outside of oxygen and polluted oxygen, carbon dioxide or anything like that's going to go down here. Speaking of polluted oxygen, I went ahead and closed off this space. Since they're pulling out polluted water out of here, which we need to put some more in here for growing these plants. And one thing I may do is I may run the polluted water that I get from this. Because right now we have a bunch of germy clean water right here. But once we start collecting polluted water, I may start using some of that. I may pump some of that over here to help fill up that space. I didn't realize how much clean water we'd already got gathered. It's got loads of germs in it, like almost like a little over a quarter of a million each. But that's a load of non-polluted water we can use for things. Let's see what we got here. Don't want a duplicate yet, so what we got? Well, we'll take some omelets. Okay, and they're going to work on building all this setup, and then I can start delivering all the suits, and we can get it all set up. Alright guys, so since my duplicates are now able to go outside pretty easily, and we got loads of oxygen stored up, I even have them making more suits to get this thing all filled up. I went ahead and decided we should start getting ready to start making plastic. The easiest way to do that is with a Drecko farm. But we have to get glossy Dreckos. So in order to get glossy Dreckos, we got to have Dreckos in a farm where they can only eat mealwood. Now the problem is in order for them to eat mealwood, they have to have I have to grow it. Meaning I can't put mealwood in a feeder. They won't eat out of a feeder. They have to eat the food natural, because they're picky little bastards. So I have to grow it in their pens. The problem with that is that in order to grow their coats on their backs, they have to have an atmosphere of hydrogen. And that applies to the special Dreckos called the glossy Dreckos that produce the plastic. So I went ahead and set something up. So I'm setting up 3 pens, so I have plenty of space for them. I already got these set up for the Dreckos. And we're going to start growing mealwood in these pens. I'll have a farmer dedicated for that. I may end up pumping the water over here, so that way we don't have to worry about running everything over here. In fact, I'm going to do that real quick. Alright guys, I switched it up for hydroponic farms, and I've got the water all pumping. Already got loads of water in here. I also figured out why there was so much water in these two storages. Apparently I'd hooked up the pump to it, and that's why we were running low on water. So these still have plenty of water in this, and this has got plenty of stuff to do, so we'll just let that do its thing. But I decided using Jeremy water wasn't going to hurt anything. So, because I'm not the one eating it, these guys are. And as long as consumables is off the menu, as long as meal ice is off the menu in here, and we do not have the grill queued up to make pickle meal. Stop doing that. No more. We ain't using pickle meal anymore. I haven't been growing it for a while anyway. Now, if we take these guys and set it to meal wood seeds, copy it. Just like that. And now the problem is like I said, they're not going to grow in a vacuum, so we have to fix that. I went ahead and filled up these two tanks with carbon dioxide and hydrogen. These grow best in carbon dioxide, and hydrogen is what gives these guys their scales. So I went and hooked up two sets of pipes over here to both tanks, and they were going to pump into, it's going to equally distribute, or try to distribute, hydrogen and carbon dioxide between these three pins. So let's give it a shot. We're going to have a little more carbon dioxide and hydrogen, which is not a hugely big deal. Alright, now I may have did it perfect on the first try, which would be seriously freaking awesome. Because the goal here was to have all the hydrogen on the top level and all the carbon dioxide on the bottom level, which allow them for the perfect atmosphere to grow it and get their scales. Looks like I might have put a little too much carbon dioxide in the second pin, but that's not a horribly big problem. As long as they have plenty of hydrogen to roam around in, it should be fine. Worst case scenario, I can hook up a pump in here and get them going. So now that we have mealwood all growing in all their pens, okay, yeah. Now I want to increase the priority of shearing and grooming. That way that gets done as early and as quickly as possible. So our rancher will come in here and groom them and shear them. Our rancher is seriously the only one that's sick. That would be really annoying. Okay, body temperature down here is an issue. One way I could combat that is, for one, putting insulated tiles along this bottom. Some ladders across here. And then insulated tiles along the top. Right through there. We got a second layer here. That should allow for them to get in and out, and I can preserve the temperature in here. So it looks like the top two levels is fine, but on the bottom level they have an issue. I'm going to increase the priority of this because this needs to be done immediately. Don't need me lollygagging around here, guys. Don't get your head trapped in there. You know that's something to do. I really don't care about those those plants. Okay. really cold over here, which is odd. But at least the mealwood can survive in that temperature. Sweet. We are sharing them, and we got our first... Let's see, where is that? Wait, we get reed fibers from this? Isn't that basically what we just get from... Let's see. Reed fibers. Okay, yeah, so we get basically the same stuff that we grow the reed stuff to make the Atmos suit. Okay, that's kind of cool. So they shared all those guys, and they shared that guy, which is awesome. Which, like I said, they get their fur or scales in the glossy jarklets department in hydrogen. So as long as they're in hydrogen, their scales will continue to grow. It looks like the temperature is regulating in here. It's just taking a little bit of time. Yeah, it'll all regulate in here, and we'll be fine. Because it's got a lot of cold temperature up here for some reason. I guess they used really cold dirt, which I'm okay with. That helped cool down the base in here. Which is almost got these guys down to temp. I think they'll correct itself in its own time. Yeah, it looks like the temperature's slowly going down. Yeah, it's slowly going down. I don't think we have much to worry about. Cool. Alright, well we got our Drecko farms going on, so now we can generate heat. By the way, I didn't mention it yet, but I put a bunch of temp shift plates behind these because we were having some overheating issues. And it more or less corrected everything. Looks like these guys are now stagnant at a 109. And I did put in a backup. I put in an ice temp shift plate in each one of them with really cold ice, and once that melts, it'll create a very thin layer of water at the bottom of these that'll help regulate the heat as well. And I can just switch out that temp shift plate whenever we need it. Okay, looks like these guys should be fairly okay to just do their thing for a little while. Yeah, look at that. Almost all fixed. Yeah, I think it'll correct itself. Sweet. Okay, we'll just let that be. Over time, these guys will start creating glossy Dreckos. When they start doing that, we'll kill off the original Dreckos because I can get reed fibers and did a much easier method. And these guys will eat on the mealwood, which will increase that drop chance of creating the glossy Dreck. All I have to do is just keep eating the mealwood, and eventually they'll start making glossy Dreckos. Alright, let's move on from there. I got the water thing figured out. I got it pumping in here, and I just keep this thing filled with ice. And over time it melts. Making a few of these temp shift plates helps as well. We're able to maintain the temperature over here, so that way we can just keep pumping in, pumping out. So we're pretty good there. I went ahead and hooked back up our coal generators. It looks like I'm about to turn them off because we got up to 12 tons, and now we're back down to less than a ton, which is not ideal, mind you. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the episode there. Looks like we got through all that polluted water finally. We have a bunch of nice, clean, germ-free water out here, which is awesome. And this thing will be what is filling up our farms over here with water. I don't want them, in fact, I don't want them taking any of the mealwood, so I need to find our food storages. I want to make sure mealwood is completely turned off. No mealwood is allowed to be in either of these. I guess I can just copy this one. And I think that's all of our food storage between the two there. Yeah, that's our only two food storage bins. And as long as they don't have a place to take it, they'll leave the mealwood in there for them to eat, which is what I want. Okay. So yeah, I think we did pretty good here, guys. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover before the end of this episode. We got our gas storage, our gas cleaning setup all fixed. Eventually I'll set up a water cleaning storage at some point. Alright, I think we're looking pretty freaking good. I kind of pumped out all this water, so I might end these guys' misery here. Go ahead and kill off all these pacus. eat them up. I would have rather kept them in there, but I would need to make a water storage that isn't going to go anywhere anytime soon. But we have to figure out how to maintain a water storage a little better first. Which I haven't found the perfect geyser. The main reason why I want to get into plastic production, guys, by the way. Ooh, look at that. Look at all that mealwood. These guys have plenty of food to eat. Look at him. Yeah. Makes them happy every time they eat, too. It increases their reproduction, increases their calories. Look at that. Scale growth already at 10%. Their body temperatures are really high, which raises the temperature in these. As long as they keep using cool dirt like they're doing, it ought to keep the temperature down in these. So, it'd be there. But yeah, I want to find, like, a geyser. I think I see one over here that I would like to use. Before we can really utilize that, we need to make a cooling solution. One thing I could do is I could run the water that we get from the steam geyser through a cold biome for a little while to produce more water. But eventually, I would much rather have a steam turbine hooked up to an aqua tuner. An aqua tuner, by the way, if you guys don't know, is a way of cooling liquids. It's a machine that uses power to cool liquids. Problem is after you run a lot of liquid through it, it gets extremely hot because it's pulling the heat out, so it's storing it inside of it. So what you do with it is you take yourself a nice amount of liquid in a chamber, put that aqua tuner in there, and you keep running your cooling liquid through it. It'll heat it up, and then it'll heat up the base liquid that's just sitting on the ground next to it, and it'll heat that liquid up on the ground while cooling the machine, creating steam. That steam, in turn, will get sucked up by a steam generator used to produce power. It will actually cool that steam back down dramatically back to a water state, and then you can pump that water back into that same room and keep repeating the process over and over and over and over again. So basically, you keep cooling it, heating up the water, creating steam, using the steam to create power, mind you, a good power generation system. So it's a win-win. It creates power and creates steam, and you can set up a shitload of those things to create a great cooling loop that you can pump anywhere into the base. So it works fantastically, and what's cool is you can pair it up with, say, a cool steam vent and produce a ton of water. So you can take the water that's in here, pump it into a cool steam vent, run the liquid that you're cooling off to cool off the room that you're putting the steam vent inside of, and then it'll cool down the steam, creating more water that you can then rerun through the thing. Then once you get an X amount of water, it pumps it directly into your storage, creating an endless loop of water storage. I know it seems really complicated right now, but once it's put in practice, it'll be really cool. Problem is the steam machine, as far as I'm aware, requires plastic. And there's only two ways to get plastic in the game. You either turn oil into petroleum and turn petroleum into plastic, or you farm glossy Dreckos. Glossy Dreckos is an easier way early game to get loads of plastic. That's why I went ahead and set up multiple farms of them. I want to see what this geyser is real quick. Copper volcano. Ooh, that means we have 2 copper volcanoes, and that's another thing it's good for. So once we have a bunch of cooling loops going, we can set it up with these like metal volcanoes to produce basically endless amounts of metal, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So there's 2 copper volcanoes that I found, so we're gonna have shitloads of copper, which is gonna be really useful. I think this is just a steam volcano. Oh, they're killing the fish. Let's see. No, that's a normal steam geyser, which can also just be used for a good power generation system, because a non-cool steam vent produces steam at like 900 degrees, which we can run through a steam turbine and just pump out the excess water. You have to use some of the coolant, by the way, that you get from some of your machines to actually cool down the steam, the steam turbine, because otherwise it'll get too hot. I mean, you are putting several 100-degree water into a machine that's not built for it. Well, it's built for it, but, you know, at some point it's going to start heating up the internal components and causing issues. But next episode, I think we're going to start working towards expansion, and I think that's the second copper volcano that I was talking about right here, that eventually we're going to utilize for free metal. We'll set up multiple machines for each one of these geysers. First, I want to get several cooling loops that we can go, plus we can use those cooling loops to produce power. And we will no longer be reliant on coal power. In fact, I'll discontinue it altogether, except as a backup. I'm going to go ahead and pause here so they don't keep doing stuff that I don't want them to do. Like, I've learned a lot in my free time, guys, and it's been, like, a really good learning experience. They need to farm all of that shit. Ooh, it looks like they managed to get another acorn, and we have been gathering lumber. We're at 22,000 units. I do want to farm this as a backup power source till we get to the steam turbine. Look at that! All of my Atmos suits are filled. Sweet. So we got more than enough suits, and once they fill that up with oxygen, we can store all the oxygen. We're burning through that algae trying to produce all that oxygen. So pretty soon, we're going to work on making a... what's it called? Making a Rodriguez oxygen production unit, which, like I said, was made by a guy named Rodriguez for producing X amount of oxygen and hydrogen for the base. Okay. Ooh, looks like this Drecko is already getting some of his scales back. Look at that. Oh, they also produce, the Dreckos, both glossy and non, also produce an awesome byproduct. They make phosphorite, which is used to feed the Wheezeworts, which is really awesome. And with my cooling system in here, eventually we won't need the Wheezeworts anymore, though. Once we get the cooling loops, we can just run a cooling loop through our battery terminal system. And once we have cooling loops, we'll be able to set up the cooling loops in our power generation rooms and keep them from being cold, and we can set them up wherever we want, even inside the base, even if we really wanted to. But I think I think we should wrap it up here. I've been rambling for a little while. Did a lot of off-camera work in here, so I've been going on this gameplay for about 2 hours now, so I need to wrap it up. But, so yeah, guys. We got our Drecko farm now, which is awesome. Excess Dreckos can be used to produce meat. I also did switch our hatchling farm directly over to stone. I killed off the regular hatchlings so we can feed these guys. And the cooling loop, by the way, is really good for these guys, because if we can find a volcano, we can produce endless amounts of food for these guys. Igneous rock is magma that's been cooled down and then harvested. Once we get a good system for that, we'll be able to cool those bad boys down to a really nice temperature. I'm not sure what the best way of cooling down solid materials are. I don't know if you can shove them into storage and move the storage to a cold biome, or if shoving them in water will help transfer it. I know you can probably put them on metal or whatever. We'll have to figure that out over time. But I think we're doing pretty good, guys. We got a Drecko farm now. That's something we haven't done yet, which I'm really excited about. I learned how to do that in my off-camera world, how to make a Drecko farm. As long as we keep the carbon dioxide level and the hydrogen level at a pretty good balance, we should be okay. It looks like I might have more carbon dioxide in some and more hydrogen in the others. As long as these guys continue growing, I really don't care. I don't think you need a really high level concentration of carbon dioxide in these rooms. So I may see about pumping some of the carbon dioxide out of a couple of these, just so that way it balances out. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell down below to let you know when I upload videos to YouTube. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below if there's anything you guys want to see in the future. But other than that, guys, that's going to have to do it for me today. So I will see all of your beautiful faces in the next video. Bye, guys!